Mr. Nakayama, late Mr. Nakayama was a physicist and my mentor, talking about Zen creativity. And one of his sayings is that we are here to know how the game of God is provided so that we can play. Here's the thought that I had. It's about the alignment to what the intention of God, or in my terms, it's not as much of some entity as God, but the laws of nature. It's manifesting everywhere. And the beginning of the game started when we had the chaos. Out of the chaos, maybe a big bang, and galaxy, Earth are born. Out of the Earth, I understand about 4 billion years ago or so, there was a nitrogen up in the air, but somehow this nitrogen was captured into some kind of process to find a part of a protein. And with that being possible, with other elements, whatever the atomic element, the combination was developed by accident, following the law of nature. So it's the order out of the disorder, like going against the law of entropy, but that's the birth, the beginning of birth. Maybe amoeba or whatever the element that was born first, and from that virus or whatever the form, they develop along a chain of DNA or something of that nature, so that the birth kept on expanding and many species were developed, relating to each other, fighting and cooperating, taking the opportunity, find the way, sort of like developing a strategy to keep playing this game of life as God or the law of nature may have provided us. Then there may be fish, plants, bird, monkey, lettuce. The DNA get into different direction. I understand octopus DNA or the approach is different from the other branch, but out of that, like a tree of branches, one of us, ancestors, Adam, Eve, whatever the term you want to use, the living being of human, was found. And whatever generations ago, from that point of view, each person, along with the external element of what's available, find the opportunity to go through the pain, suffering. They may have found the fire, but I would imagine there are times that the fire was gone and they are in the cave shivering cold and trying to figure out what happened. I can relate to that because that's how suffering would happen for a living being. It may come from any direction. So there's a boundary that we are to cross, and that's the intelligence. That's part of this creative force that we had as living being. And out of that is the brain, language, logics developed. So we play more game. Civilization, pyramid, king, more suffering, growth of different species like, I don't know, Genghis Khan or Napoleon or whoever, and spreading out to different parts of the earth, playing the game. Hunter-gatherer and farming and coming up with all sorts of tools, the iron, or before that was bronze, even developed a way such as poems to share the idea, or the tribe men, I can think of dancing, when they caught or capture the fish or the animal that they can eat, celebrating and perhaps praying for God to give them more fun joy, happiness, living life. And the process continued. It's the game. Out of that, I was born. Their parents and ancestors of so many generations. Pure luck. And the funny thing is, I can see through that and realize those moments of difficulties, those moments of discoveries, inventive ideas, and the fun way to enjoy life and have birth and more suffering, overcome the suffering. The technology was born, political system, economic system, science, all sorts of things happen, like branches again. But the root is the same. I talk about the root, the beginning. And that's like a Zen saying, who are the origin before your parents are born? And that's the beginning of this whole trajectory of the process of evolution. So when it comes to my case or any individual in the modern world, we deal with various issues. There's a competition and cooperation within human and also along with the other species and the earth at large, all the climate changes, whatever's happening, meteorite flying in. So the game continues. We may get wiser to know what this game is, how to play it, and how to enjoy it, and still finding the opportunity. But for that, we may have egotistical sense of achieving something for our own purpose, even damaging others. That's a sadness, and to realize that is the compassion. And out of that realization is the new system, technology, political system, all that may be developed. So the game of God is prevailing. The law of nature hasn't changed, but we are just expanding. The idea of this expansion or growth or evolution, whatever you call, may have some key element. The element is that each cells go through like a birth of the life, find the opportunity, and what's around the cell is the connecting to other cells to help each other. But if there's a virus or a cancer cell, they will fight against it. So that's the opportunity and the problems, and we are to find. When I say we, it's not this individual, me, Kiyoshi or Kiyo, but rather each cell is fighting or cooperating. As I picture, within me is this organs of the heart and lung and kidney and all sorts of things, intestine, the food, and there's channel for blood and heart to pump, hormone and all that stuff, as if there's no brain, thinking brain, to make that happen. It just happens because it's law of nature. So living being is just a collection of those mini species of life, taking opportunities to their benefit, cooperating with others as much as possible, like a customer and supplier relationship. And when there's a competition happening, then they find a way to operate. So as much as we do that as individual, within each of us, we have that process going. And out of individual, there may be a group, an organization, company, nation, and the whole human being on earth to figure out what to do. So that's the game. It's kind of like a strategy game, and some may call it simulation. It's a God simulation, if you want to think. It's not the simulation of what some think is the alien. I mean, that may be one postulated idea, and that's also possible. But the game is still played by the God. And we are here to play the game, as I may watch the sun coming up from the ocean, watch the bird, and I can hear the rat running around or some animals behind. All the situation that we got is changing all the time. Everything is impermanent. Out of that, I think I may get into the Buddhist view. The way is that the living life is suffering. And there's ego, but there's no ego if you go beyond the boundary of ego. So it's part of the intelligence awakening. And when you have that, we may realize the law of natures, the play of God. And since you are one with that, this realization bridges the gap, and there's alignment of who I am to who others are, and the who or what the universe is. And there's the common game played out across the board. What does that mean? So my purpose is aligned to whatever has happened in the past, and I'm still keep taking the opportunity, going against the hurdles, law of entropy, from the disorganized state to think that organized state is better. Some may work out like an ego. Others, more higher level intelligence, is working together to make the most of what we got. So that's the game of God, the law of universe, and where I am. Whether individual, cell, organization, and whether it's about science, technology, political system, economy, it's just a part of the whole game. It's all mixed together, and it may not be easy to see through all of it. And if you have ego, that's more of a problem, because that's a fixed idea that may not see the connection, working together, opportunities beyond the constraint. And someone said that the process of this evolution requires lots of patience. Patience is part of the law of nature. If nothing is there, just like I see the spider sitting as a part of this house, and he's just waiting when the opportunity pops up, and otherwise he's hungry. So depending upon how patient you are and what strategies you've got, how egotistical you are, or how more open-minded and see the connection of all the elements, we are playing the different game. So that's what it is. So what did I accomplish? There's no accomplishment. It's just the process, the realization of the process, and aligning myself to the law of nature, opportunities available, find the path for growth, evolution, doing some good, which I also feel that is important, like an internal process of who I am is extending to external process and the environment I'm living in, and find the harmony in that process. Harmony within, without, and across. Is that the game of God? Is that the law of nature? It's each of us to find out. There are different passages each can take, like branches of the tree. I may just say this, because this is one of my books I wrote. Use the brain, not to be used. Listen to your heart, connected to the root of who you are, and find the mission and go forward. The mission, I call it order from heaven. Do we know it? Are there alignment? Are there harmony with others? And we play the game of God well? It's each of us to find. Thank you.